fun this year, don't we?
Oh, we do. We absolutely do.
We certainly won't dwell on it, but this is the year which it just keeps on giving, doesn't it? Just when you think. My goodness, what a walk we've got in store. Just take a look at this. And loads of chickens. Hello, chickens. You did. How sweet is that? Now, of course, you can get in touch with us
We
anytime.
love to hear from husbands.
And wives. Have to pardon the rain, folks. There might be some drips actually on the. That's. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? My goodness, what a walk we're in. It's pouring with rain, but I wasn't happy with that take, so I'm doing it again. Oh man. Welcome, everybody, to episode 161. Featuring
161.
I know, 161. Featuring Walking the Dales.
Oh, it's lovely. You're going to love it. I loved it.
What a walk.
It was so nice. So interesting. So many interesting things to look at. I even stopped knitting to watch it.
Last time I said that when, after the wonderful trip to Cotherston, that it was my favourite walk of the series.
Yeah.
And it was. And I think it still is. But...
The Cotherston one?
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I aspired to do for this episode, that you're going to see later on in the show, was to offer a contrast.
Well, it is that, definitely.
To the sort of low, easy-going, lovely...
Yeah.
And what I did not anticipate when I planned this walk was two things. The first thing I didn't anticipate was the weather.
No, it wasn't supposed to rain.
And my goodness, did it rain. It rained to the point of, I can now tell you with confidence that the Tilly hats are definitely very waterproof.
Yeah. You said your head, and it keeps your shoulders dry as well, doesn't it? Because of the brim.
I am more appreciative of that hat after this walk than walking with it in the summer. I know the importance of keeping the sun away, I really do, and I'm down with the boys now because I'm going to be wearing that hat, so we're golden. But it's even better because I nearly put on, I think naturally in this country, at this time of year, when we're going for a walk in the autumn, you naturally reach for a woolen hat.
A woolen hat, yeah.
Might be a thinner one.
Yeah.
But you'd reach for a warm one. I nearly did. In fact, I so nearly did, I put it in my pocket because I thought, if I get chilly at any point, well, as soon as the heavens opened, and actually removing the heavens opening, I never even got chilly. It's like it keeps you warm and it keeps you dry.
Yeah.
They're just phenomenal.
Yeah.
The other thing that I did not, and I do know how to do this, and I'm naughty that I didn't do this, but I just wanted to push the boundaries a bit. I didn't quite anticipate the height of the walk a little bit. Just take a little look at this. I'm walking across that edge and I'm thinking...
It's almost a mountain.
I'm thinking, if Kay was here...
Yeah.
I think I might be in trouble.
Yeah. Because I don't do heights at all.
But I also think you would have probably said, I'm not certain it's a good idea that you walk across that path.
No.
Because I think I was saying to myself, but my goodness, am I glad that I did? Because as Kay said, what we have captured is some of the most impactful images, I think, of the whole series. Specifically Slay Gill, looking up Slay Gill and the remnants of the lead mining and the sort of impact it's had on the landscape. But then beyond that, also some of on this walk we go to more settlements, more villages and hamlets than we have on any walk before.
And that's what I really loved. I loved seeing the houses and the stories behind the houses and film settings.
Yes.
And things like that. It's just really, really interesting walk.
Definitely the most filmed dale of all the Yorkshire Dales, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I'd say
There's been more cameras have gone there to shoot things.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I think the bottom line was, It was such great fun. And actually, we've had so many lovely messages from you about how much you've been enjoying this series and how much fun you've been finding it too. And my goodness, we need a bit of fun this year, don't we?
Oh, we do. We absolutely do.
We certainly won't dwell on it, but this is the year which it just keeps on giving, doesn't it? Just when you think it comes along and it kicks you in the stomach again.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. But look, like we said way back in March, can you believe it was in March that we put out our special announcement saying we shall attempt to be a beacon of light and loveliness through this period. And
just a bit of normality.
Yes, normality, absolutely. And in the spirit of loveliness and in the spirit of shedding light, I have become aware of a big fan's birthday date.
A big fan's
Yes, one of our
date.
big fans
out
there
yes.
in the world has recently had a birthday.
Okay.
It was the 15th of October.
Right.
Now, hopefully someone out there now is thinking, well, that was my birthday.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I apologise if now when I tell you the name of the person who it is,
not you.
that it's not you, because we absolutely send you our birthday wishes too.
Yeah.
But this particular big fan's husband dropped me a line.
Oh, did he?
He did. How sweet is that?
Nice.
Now, of course, you can get in touch with us
We
anytime.
love to hear from husbands.
And wives. That sounds a little bit wrong. You can get in touch with us via the Baker Bears website. It's always linked within the show notes, but if you go to the Baker website, there's a contact page and you can drop us a line.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. And he dropped us a line and he said that it's one of your biggest fans' birthdays. It's nice, isn't it? When you get the opportunity to shine a light on someone who's sat at home there and been watching, and it's Jane Uden.
Oh,
I hope I pronounced your surname right, Jane. It's 2 O's.
Yes.
T-E-N. Uten.
Uten.
Yeah.
Uten.
I hope that's right.
I've never heard of that surname.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like saying that. Uten. Uten.
It sounds a bit owlish.
Jane, hello.
Hello.
Hope you had a lovely birthday.
Yes, last week.
Oh.
Yes. So happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Yes. So in our mission for spreading joy, that's the first little bit of joy. But there's more joy to come today.
Yes.
Because we have, of course, got a lovely show in store for you. Kay's finished one of my Halloween socks.
Oh, literally about 3 seconds ago. I'm not kidding. Literally.
So you're going to get to see that in a minute, which is going to be very exciting. I've also been making some wonderful progress on my socks, or actually they're your socks.
Oh, yeah.
But also as well, you've got another pair of wonderful socks in What's Off Your Needles.
I have.
It's the sock show today.
It is the sock show.
Neil, I'm one of these people who, when things come towards an ending, I tend to get sad. Like,
Projects, you mean?
No. Well, yes. Actually, yes, you're right.
You do?
I do.
You don't like finishing things, do you?
I like finishing things, but I worry about what I'm going to do next. Yes.
I always have a billion things that I want to do next, so it's never a bother.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know why that is. I don't know why I stress about that. I never have a billion things that now that sounds like I don't have things I want to knit. There are things I want to knit, but I think I'm quite specific in what I enjoy.
Some would say picky.
Picky. Yes, I know what I like, and it's really important to me to try and find those things. When things come towards an ending, I do, I can feel a little bit sad, and this is the year when none of us need to feel sad.
No.
We need to be looking forward to the future, so I'm going to tip you off about something.
Oh.
Today is the final Walking the Dales before we do our Christmas special. I think it's out on the 18th of December.
Right.
I think that's about right.
Cool.
Now, for many people, you might be sad about that because you might think, oh, well, what are we going to do?
What are we going to do?
What's going to happen? Well, let me tell you. We will be telling you later on in the show today what's going to happen between now and the next Walking the Dales. And I can assure you of this, you're going to love it.
That's a funny voice.
Yes. Because whilst we might have 2 episodes of something, that's the return of something very important that we'll talk about later. We also have something brand new coming on the 4th of December, and I'm going to tell everyone about it right now.
Okay.
I've decided.
What is it?
Kay's Handmade Christmas.
Oh, yes! Excited.
There is nothing to fear about the next 3 episodes.
I'm like the next Kirsty Allsop.
Kirsty Allsop can forget it. 4th of December, we've been looking forward to this for months because you came up with this idea months ago.
Yes.
I cannot wait to see you try. Effectively, what we're saying is 3 brand new crafts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That could empower you to create some lovely gifts.
Absolutely, and they're all inexpensive things.
Yes, and none of these crafts are anything you've ever seen on the Bakery Bears video show before.
No.
It's going to be marvellous.
Absolutely not.
It's going to be I'm looking forward to creating the set.
I know.
Yes.
It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be so great.
Yeah.
Full of Christmas cheer.
Very much so.
Most definitely. So yes, that's enough waffle.
Waffle.
Yes, it is. It's waffle. It's time for us to find out, because there's so many lovely things to share with you today. Kay Jones, I hope it is on your needles.
Yes, that's my name.
But what's on your needles?
It is on my needles.
Because it's the other sock.
Yeah, I literally haven't cast it on yet because I literally finished this one 3 seconds ago.
We'll let you off.
Well, it might be 10 seconds ago now. But yeah, it's Dan's Halloween socks. I started these actually. When did I start these? Towards the end of September, with the hopes that I'd have them finished for Halloween. I don't think that's going to happen. I've only just finished the first one and it's Halloween the end of next week. But I'm not going to worry about that because, they will get done when they get done. But one is finished and I've popped it on this large blocker, but it goes off the end of it, which is no great surprise because there's the blocker, look.
What do you mean it's no great surprise?
I'll show you the other side because that's where the jog is.
Hey, did you see all the messages from people after you showed this?
About this blocker?
About them also getting one?
One, I know. How weird is that? We had a few messages saying people had also ordered this same blocker and only got one. What is that all about? And people also said to me, contact Amazon and, they'll send you another. Absolutely, I could have done that,
But the thing is that you don't actually need it, do you?
I don't really need another one.
No.
Because I don't need it to actually block Dan's socks on because I don't, I just lay them flat to dry.
Yeah.
I only ever really use sock blockers for taking photos.
Yeah. And you wouldn't really photograph those, would you?
No, I don't. Exactly. They're not ones that I normally photograph. When I say photograph, it's not very pretty, is it? But the reason I block socks is mainly for pattern photos because if you block them, they're very neat and lovely. I pretty much always then take it off the blocker to actually photograph it because it's prettier without the blocker sticking out of the top. But really I just use them for that purpose. I don't ever block socks when I wash them just normally.
Yeah.
I just sort of either put them over the clothes horse, as my mum would have called it, like the airer, to dry, or just lay them flat on the... Did your mum used to call it a clothes horse?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a little horse that you put your clothes on.
I loved it.
And
it was my favourite thing.
Yeah, and Bryony used to... We used to have a wooden one when we were young. Was yours wooden? It would have been, won't it?
That folded out.
Yeah.
And
so it was like 3 pieces like that. Or did it just have 2?
No, it had more than that because you could fold it out in a way where you could then throw a sheet over it and it would make a tent.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bryony used to do that.
Yes, I also did that. It was marvellous.
But now they're kind of all plastic and metal, aren't they?
And concertina up, don't they?
Yeah, that's the one I've got now. You pull it up from the floor rather than open it up like a old-fashioned clothes horse. Yeah. But this is the first of Dan's finished Halloween socks. Isn't it lovely and fun?
It is. I love the design. I mean, it's just great.
It's just so Scooby-Doo, isn't it, and Halloween-y. I love them.
And you've just made that up, haven't you?
I haven't made it up. It's an actual stitch pattern. It's just a broken 1x1 rib. It's not my invention.
Have you already... Those other socks that you've just knit for me, was that...
No, that was different.
Okay.
You've never had a broken 1x1? I don't think so, anyway. So
what did you do on the other socks that you just gave me that I love?
That was a broken 3x1.
Oh.
One plain. So
that's a broken 1x1.
This is a broken 1x1.
Would that be as sucky in as...
Well, I'm hoping so, but I don't know.
You would assume it would be, wouldn't you?
It's hard to tell. I don't know, really.
Or does the 3 suck it in more?
Yeah, I do wonder whether the 3 might suck it in more, but I don't know. I'm sure these will be fine, though.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with these, as I said, it's a broken 1x1 rib, so it's just a plain knit round and then a round of knit 1 purl 1. It's as simple as that. It's dead easy, but just so effective, I think. And so, gender neutral.
Yeah.
It would just go on anything, wouldn't it? And any body sock. Just so lovely. And I used Cascade Heritage in loads of different colours. I think I can remember the colours.
And did you get the colours specifically for the socks, or did you just have them in stash?
No, the only one I didn't have in stash was the black.
Right. Amazing. Amazing.
So it's Cascade Heritage. I've noticed recently, I don't know if anybody else has noticed this about Cascade Heritage, but I think they've switched their production of this yarn.
They have, isn't it?
It's now made in India, or certainly the skeins I've had recently, and the design of the label is slightly different. If you look there at the bottom, made in India. However, have I got one of... Yeah, this is one of the older ones. This is one of the older labels. And these was made in China.
Have you noticed a difference in the yarn?
No, the yarn seems exactly the same to me, which is brilliant because I've always loved it. I've not noticed any difference. And the reason I think that has happened, because the colours that I have ordered recently, can you see the lot number, the die number? Number 1. So it is like it's a brand new thing.
I think
and the quality is the same, which is brilliant.
What's particularly good is sometimes I think, you might expect a bit of a
difference in when something changes. It's always a bit of a worry, isn't it, when something changes.
And to be able to swap.
But to me, I've not noticed any difference with the two.
Well, you're certainly well experienced with it.
Yeah, I've used it a lot, and it's equally as lovely as it's always been, so that's brilliant. But yeah, this yarn, it does fluff up, and I don't know that it really pills. I find it just gets very fluffy. I'm not sure I've noticed pilling. I'm just thinking of Bryony's socks, because she's terribly hard on socks. She kind of drags her feet along the floor. Yeah. We're always telling her to pick her feet up. So I know with her socks, the bottoms, if it's Cascade Heritage, they do get really fluffy. But I haven't had any sort of wear through yet. And I don't mind a bit of fluffing up on the bottom. It shows that they're loved, doesn't it? So, yeah, the colours that I've got here are Pumpkin, is this gorgeous orange. Almost black. It isn't quite black. But
is that what it's called?
No, it's not called that. It's called Night.
That'd be so great if it was called.
It's certainly, from a distance, it looks black, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, and let me tell you, knitting with black yarn.
Yeah.
And thank goodness there was only 2 in this, and I finished it before I got to the next black stripe. I was like, I worked. That's very fortuitous, because, I would have finished this way before if it hadn't been for that black section, because I was knitting these at night, and I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see. It's like I couldn't even work out what the previous round was. I had to hold it under the light like this. So I had to wait till daytime to finish that section and then do the rest. So yeah, we've got Pumpkin, we've got Night, Jasmine Green, Dahlia, and then the heel is Luna Rock. And I love them. So I need to start the second one and get that on the go and just really get on with it. Usually, my second socks go much quicker than the first.
Right.
I don't know why that is. I think it's just because I want to get the pair done.
Right.
So I'm more motivated to knit it to get them finished.
What inspired you to knit those socks? Was it something that you thought, I want to do that? Or were you going through your stash, saw the colours and thought, I could do that?
It was that orange yarn and you saying that you really liked it.
Right.
And I didn't just want to knit a plain sock.
So you thought, I'll knit some Halloween socks?
Yeah, I think I'd just been looking through my yarns and I saw the kind of green and the purple, and I thought, that's quite Halloweeny, and it's coming up to Halloween.
It's funny, isn't it? Because
I'll just get a black and...
I know a lot of people, you in particular, can sometimes feel weighed down by your stash.
Yeah.
But
I get rid of loads of it occasionally.
Yeah, but actually what you've just shown there is how beneficial it can be to have a varied one.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think the problem is that, we're all limited to space, aren't we?
Yeah.
And if the amount of my stash exceeds the space that I've got, then that's at the point where I'm just like, I need to declutter this and I need to get rid of some of it, because I don't think it's good for any of us to have walls and walls of yarn.
No.
Because I find that stressful, looking at walls and walls of yarn, because I just think I'm never going to get through that.
the point you've made there is a wider one, and it's one that applies to life as a whole. And I mean, it's interesting because I only just spoke about something similar. I just filmed the latest self-contained knitter, which is coming out next week, and I spoke about on there space. And the benefits of leaving space for things to breathe a little bit. And I think what you're saying, and I agree with you completely, is if you've got too much yarn, you can't actually see what you've got. All you see is a mountain of yarn, and how do I find...
Yeah.
Because I think the other thing as well is if you struggle to decide, if you're like, if you and ah on things, which some people do and some people don't, that could be a nightmare, couldn't it?
Yeah, and I kind of just get tired of looking at the same yarn, you know. If I don't use it fairly, you know, within about a year, if I don't use it within about a year, I just don't want to use it because I've been looking at it for so long.
Right.
Does that make sense to anyone? It maybe
I'm sure
just,
it will.
I don't know.
I'm sure it will, because I think what we've found over the years in, you know, talking to different people and you know, engaging with different knitters is there seems to be lots of different people who fall into similar slots. And I think there will be lots of people who feel the same as you do. But equally, I think there'll be lots of people who like having the biggest possible stash they can.
I know
then disappearing off into it.
Yeah, I know that a lot of people just find it really comforting to have that there, because you know that you can always go to it. And, you know, particularly this year, you know, I'm sure it's been really helpful for a lot of people just to have that stash. Yeah. To think, I can just go into it, I can just choose a lovely skein of yarn and I can just knit something beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't have to worry about going out and trying to find a shop and things like that. Yeah. So I think there's lots of, you know, different...
You just have to find what fits for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And if what you're doing isn't working, then change it.
Then change it.
Don't expect...
You can always de-stash yarn.
Yeah.
You know, you can very easily de-stash yarn. And when I've done that in the past, I've just done it via my Etsy shop. You know, I've done a de-stash and got rid of it that way.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people doing that via sort of Etsy shops. But, you know, you can de-stash yarn on Ravelry. You can put a post up on Instagram. I've seen people do that as well. If you are feeling sort of weighed down by it, just change
Start
it.
again.
There's no rules to these things, is there?
No.
You know, and if you'll feel better having less stuff.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you on that.
Yeah. So I need to cast on sock 2, and for these I am going to do them matching only because I don't want to knit more than 2 black stripes.
Yes.
That's the only reason. So I will do them matching, and also I get to use the orange 3 times, and that's the colour that you really like.
Definitely.
So that works out quite well.
It does.
Because it's 2 times for everything else, isn't it? But 3 for the orange, so that's really cool. And I did 72 stitches, as I always do for Dan with these, and 2.25mm needles. I used Chowgu mini twist needles, and I was looking for some more, and I went to all the shops I normally purchase them from. No one had them. I don't know whether they're just not restocking at the moment, but I did find some at Gorgeous Yarns.
Right.
And I have used Gorgeous Yarns before. Brilliant service. So if you are looking for some, I don't know if she's still got some there, but I mean, have a look. And she's got some lovely yarns as well. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needles?
Well, look at this.
I thought I'd said that wrong then.
No, oh dear.
Oh no, needle down.
Yes. One's all finished. It's I love this pattern. I love it.
Let me get another blocker.
Do it. Seriously, I cannot begin to tell you how much I'm enjoying knitting this. You know, Kay was concerned it wouldn't be challenging enough for me.
Interesting enough,
Yeah, interesting enough. Well, it's like the perfect combination. There's only been one part of it which I've struggled with, and that is 2-row repeats. For some reason, I struggle with 2-row repeats. I get confused
really
as to where I am.
nice.
It's the Village Fate socks. I just adore... Do you know what? I love lace.
Well, I love this little lace pattern, and I've knit this lace pattern twice now, and I just loved knitting it, and it just, for me, made the sock go so fast. It's so sweet. It's such a lovely little simple lace pattern.
I think sometimes with lace, it can, certainly on a sock, if there's too much of it, it can look a bit gappy and a bit... You see a bit too much foot.
Yeah, I mean, I
think lace on a sock needs to be subtly done.
I mean, I do like lace socks, but I do prefer a simple lace on a sock. I think you're right.
You see, I mean, again, we come back to, I think it's how people perceive words, but I wouldn't call that simple, because I think it looks
I think
it doesn't look easy, I don't think.
Right.
And I think that it's not necessarily easy because I certainly, it's not difficult, but it's engaging enough for me to stay completely engaged.
Oh, definitely.
What is easy is, it's not this or was it this one that I messed up? Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, you did 2 pearl ridges.
I'll show you in a second on the other side.
It's just got garter down the back, a strip of garter, because that's the maypole.
Yeah, you see lovely maypole there. But then, thank you very much. But then on this one, I mean...
You did...
You can't really see it.
No, it's
I did 2 knit rounds.
No, you didn't. You did 2 pearl rounds.
Did I?
Yes. Oh, no, beg your pardon. You did do 2 knit rounds. Sorry, I looked at it from the other side.
But then look there. Just have a look at it.
That's a loose stitch.
Oh, okay, right.
That one there.
Sometimes the inner beast.
That there is loose. Look at that. Oh, that's annoying, that.
The inner sock knitter with no technique.
I could tighten that up from the back.
Rears.
Anyway.
Do you want a needle? You can do it.
Well, it'll just untighten again, won't it? But
we could glue it.
Gosh, this yarn is... I can't tell you what. I'm getting old. Right.
No, you're not. I can't knit. Kay spoke about the black yarn at night. It's the same with this. This is Osterman Step.
Look how loose that stitch is that I just pulled up there. Look. Oh, you probably can't see, but it's a really loose stitch.
But could we stretch it out over the stitches around it?
Yeah, I should be able to even it up a little bit for you.
Great. It's Osterman Step, and it's gorgeous. It's so soft, and it's lovely to knit with.
It is lovely, yeah.
But the problem with it is, and it's not a problem because it's so important, isn't it, that we have contrasts in what we work with and what we knit with. And I love the colour.
Oh, it's lovely. Really pretty.
But don't knit with this as soon as it gets dusky or dark at night.
It's dusky.
Yeah, dusky. Dusky maiden.
Dusky maiden.
That's how I describe Kay quite often.
Well, I can't remember ever that happening, but there we go. It's a nice
Not
thought.
true. Oh, I must remember to do the contrast toe.
What needles are you using?
They're 2.75s, aren't they?
Oh, the chow goos.
Yeah.
I really, when I do use DPNs, I really like chow goo metals.
They're runaway needles.
I drop everything. I've got the droppiest hands in history. I don't know why. I drop everything.
You've got, in the words of Mr. Carson, you've got the palsy.
What was that with Mr. Carson? Does
Towards
anybody
the end,
know
doesn't he?
do you know when his hands
down.
start shaking?
Yeah.
I even looked it up because I was curious, thinking, what is it he's got? And I looked it up, and I don't know that I actually got a conclusion as to what it was.
Right.
He just got these really shaky hands, didn't he?
It's just getting older.
Yeah, it's just getting older. I think it was hereditary, wasn't it? His dad had it. Yeah, but these are chow goo. Listen to us talking about Mr. Carson like he's...
Of course, we're talking about
best
Downton Abbey.
friend. Because he is.
But great characters in great TV shows and films feel like best friends. And that's when you know you've nailed something.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, 2.75 chow goo metal.
Right.
You're using with those.
I knew
and they're a lovely double-pointed needle if you are looking for some metal ones. They're not as pointy as higher sharps. I can't use those anymore. They're just too sharp for me. So they're not as pointy as them, but they're just still lovely and smooth and tapered. Gorgeous.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, I wouldn't knit with anything else. My whole sort of DPN road was fraught with ups and downs, and because I was using the wrong tools. And, it was only through trying different things. I think I started on wood.
Yes.
And eventually got to these, and these are it's sock heaven for me. And that, for me, I think was the problem with me and sock knitting in general, because I didn't really enjoy magic loop sock
No,
knitting.
you didn't.
It just wasn't for me. And so then you go onto DPNs, you try wood, and that just wasn't for me. And then I think we tried a different brand of metal. I'm sure I used something different before.
You might have used hires.
Yes, I think that probably, because I think
you did,
they were too
because
sharp.
they were too sharp for you. Yeah, they're like deadly weapons.
And then eventually we got to these, and it's what I knit all my socks in, and I absolutely love it.
They're great needles.
Actually, I must just say, it's an interesting case saying, listen to us talking about Mr. Carson as if he's an old friend. We happened to see the other day, it was Kay who spotted it. You saw Father of the Bride 3.
Has anybody seen this?
And look, Father of the Bride and Father of the Bride 2 are films with great deep meaning for us because
Yeah.
we've watched them for years, and one particular summer we must have watched them, or we watched Father of the Bride 1, I think probably 2 or 3 times a week all summer.
We just loved it so much.
And those characters in those films do feel like old friends, and they've just released what they called Father of the Bride 3-ish, and it was released as a charity thing for people who've been helping feed people through the current situation that the world's facing, but they've been feeding people in America. And so it was just a short 30-minute thing, was it?
Yeah, just short of 30 minutes, I think it is. And it was on Netflix, but then Netflix have uploaded it to YouTube. I found it, came across it on YouTube.
So I'll link it in the show notes below. And if you've watched these films and enjoyed them, I would say go and watch it.
Yeah.
Because it was just wonderful.
Yeah.
Like these, for me, right, when I watch a film, a bit like Star Wars, the reason why we love Solo so much is because you finish that film and the world feels right because you know that Han Solo and Chewbacca are out in the galaxy doing stuff. Whereas you watch Force Awakens and you've just killed him off.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that's what you should do with certain feel-good characters. And so to know that the Banks family are all out there and all, getting on with life and dealing with all the things, it's especially appropriate, I think, for us at the moment, because it's sort of how they're dealing with the situation.
Yeah, but it was so funny. Steve Martin is so brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he never seems to age.
No.
And the
It's one of the benefits of being grey from such a young age.
Yeah. The first film is almost 30 years ago now, and you just can't believe it, can you really?
No.
But it was just so lovely to see them, and for them, it was like it was a Zoom meeting,
but
they were all acting as if they were the characters in the film still, and it was brilliantly done.
Brilliantly scripted,
And,
brilliantly acted.
they dropped in little bits of the films,
it was
and
just
the
a
music.
really feel-good.
It was. It makes you feel really good if you loved the films.
Yes, to be able to see the 2 babies.
I know, grown up.
You obviously saw at the end of Father of the Bride 2, to see them grown up. It's just marvellous.
Yeah,
so
it's lovely.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So definitely worth the watch, and it's linked in the show notes below. What else is on your needles?
This is Project of Doom.
Oh no. I've got no idea what she's pulling out. I need to think. Oh, I know what it is. I think I know what it is.
I literally am never going to finish this.
You've got to finish it.
It's the quick. It should, in theory, be the quickest project ever.
Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it a hat?
Yes.
Yes, I knew what it was.
It's this hat that I started.
What do you think the problem is?
I'm bored.
Right.
Is the problem. I just get bored round and round plain knitting with a plain yarn. I just can't do it. And I've got to do it because I really want the hat. So this is the hat that I started a few weeks ago with the Holstgarn Coast, if you remember this.
And we're actually 2 parts into a 3-part review.
I know. So I've got to finish it so I can finish the reviews. The yarn's brilliant. I love,
Thankfully, I don't think we've got the 3rd part scheduled till January.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So you're golden.
Yeah, that's good. It's the Holstgarn Coast, and I'm using silver grey, and it's a cotton and lamb's wool blend, and it's a light fingering weight yarn. It is very lightweight, and I just thought, do you know what, I want a hat in that. I want a really lovely lightweight,
It will be perfect.
plain grey hat. It's going to be perfect, but I'm just so bored.
Think though how much you're going to appreciate it when you cast it
I'm
out.
trying to think that, and I'm a good way in. Look.
You've got to be halfway in.
Oh, I'm more than halfway. I think I measured this and it was just over 5 inches.
Right.
I need to get to about 7 inches before I start the decreases, so I've still got a little way to go. But it's just, round and round knitting, I don't mind so much. But if I'm doing round and round knitting with just a plain yarn like this,
You found it a bit of a challenge.
I literally am like, I just cannot do this.
No.
And it's strange, isn't it? Because I know some people would be like, oh yeah, that's my favourite, and I'll just go round and round forever. And I'm wishing I'd put a bit of pattern into it, because I did say, I think when I started this, I just want a plain hat, and I do want a plain hat, but I just think if I'd put a little bit of something into it, it might just keep me going.
Yeah.
But I've just got to battle on and just get on with it. You know, and I thought, right, I'll have it as my bedtime knitting, but the problem is, it's so boring that it makes me fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I'll do a few stitches and I'll be falling asleep. I'm like, well, that's no good. That's
You're the same as me
work.
with plain knitting. I can't knit plain.
No, I thought that is not going to work. So then I thought, right, I'll try it sort of, you know, when we're watching Downton at night time. And that, it makes me feel sleepy again. So I think I'm just going to maybe have to do it first thing in the morning and just get a few rows done every day.
I've worked out.
And then it'll be done, won't it?
That the best time for me to do boring knitting is like grabbing a moment, like on a school run, or
that's maybe I'll take it with me today, because I'm doing the school run today. My car's out today, everyone.
Yes.
It's the only car I've ever owned. It's 25 years old now, my car, and it still goes, and it's never really let me down.
No.
I absolutely love it. It's a VW Polo, if you're wondering. I love it. So yes, I'm doing the school run today, so I'm going to take this with me. I have a good 20 minutes just sat there. I will put my audiobook on and I'm going to knit a few rounds.
You'll be away.
And I just need to get it done because I really want the hat. I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm using 2.5mm needles because this is a light fingering weight, and I love the fabric. I think it looks great. It just looks like a shop bought hat, don't you think?
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's quite cool to have a hand knitted something that looks shop bought.
So credit to the yarn there, really.
The yarn, yeah, and I think also because this yarn, it still has spinning oils in it.
Right.
When, you know, from when it's been spun. So I think when I've washed this as well, I think it's going to look even lovelier. I mean, saying that, it doesn't feel oily or anything like that. It feels perfectly normal to me. I don't know what it's meant to feel like, but it doesn't feel oily or anything like that to the touch. But I do think when it's washed, I think it's going to sort of bloom and fill up any tiny gaps that there are. I think it's just going to be lovely. And I cast on 152 because I thought that might be a good number with it being such a thin yarn, and looking at the size of it, I think it's okay. I think, you know, size-wise, it's just going to be a perfect plain grey hat look. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. I need to get this done.
They're very wearable hats like that.
If I showed you all and spoke about it, that pressurises me.
You shouldn't put pressure
to get it finished. Well, I need some kind of motivation because I just stuck it in a bag and put it up there and forgot about it for 2 weeks.
You finished those socks now. Can you not adopt a similar approach for you? Right, okay.
That's what I think I'm going to have to do, yeah. Maybe I'll just set aside sort of 20 minutes a day or something and just knit and just think, right, it's only 20 minutes, I can do it. Stop being a big old wimp and just get on and do it.
It's another challenge I think that we all face, isn't it? And, you know, I think this is probably one of those things which so many people don't stop and consider too much. But, you know, you think about the jobs that you've done over the years, and you think about the jobs that you've been motivated to do and you haven't been motivated to do. And when I think through that time, quite often it's come down to who I've been working for/with.
Yes.
If I worked with people who, you know, I felt motivated me, then, you know, you would work harder, you would, you know, potentially do a better job.
I agree.
But with knitting, it's just you.
Yeah.
So how do you motivate yourself? Yeah. And there's so many different factors in it.
There's a million different factors, isn't there, for motivation for getting things done.
You have to start asking the question, does knitting best suit itself? And it wouldn't just be knitting, would it? There'd be lots of things that this would apply to, but does it best suit self-motivated people? Or because if you're self-motivated, you're always going to just be getting on with it. But I'm not certain that that's correct because, I mean, I think you are self-motivated.
I am. I'm definitely self-motivated. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't... Generally, if there's a job to be done, I would get on and do it. I don't...
Unless it's that hat.
Unless it's that. I don't really procrastinate that much on things, really, I don't think. Except knitting that hat, clearly.
When you're not self-motivated, this is the time when you need to start adopting certain techniques to try and see you through it. And your thing definitely works. And the other thing that you talk about a lot is, and I'm sure loads of you do it out there, is putting in markers and moving them up.
Yes.
so
Oh, I
that
didn't show
see-
you. I didn't show you something. Talking of
Show us.
markers, I need to show you.
You've got some new wonderful markers.
No, with my Halloween sock, I just bought myself a new stitch marker because I just had to have it. I bought myself a little stitch marker with a ghost on it. Oh, I'll leave it clipped to that yarn, actually.
It's a bit easier to see.
It's easier to see. Look! Oh! Ooh! Spooky ghost. Can you see it? Is that not a very good view? I think you can see it, can't you? How cute is that? I saw Jules, So Sweet Violet, show some new stitch markers the other day, and I saw this and I was working on the Halloween sock, and I was like, oh, I've so got to have that little ghost to put on my sock, and it has been clipped on it. I just took it off because I finished the sock, so that'll be going on my next one. But yeah, things like that motivate me.
So if you're feeling...
Is that daft?
No.
I don't know.
If you're feeling not very motivated about a particular project, then, again, it's like dealing with your stash. If your stash feels too big, change it. So if you're knitting on a project and you're just not getting through it, but you want to finish it, change the way you think about it.
If it's within your power to change something and you'll feel better for doing it, absolutely do it.
We all spend way too much time worrying about things outside our circle of it's not the circle of trust, it's the circle of influence. You should not spend any time worrying about the things outside of your circle of influence, because it doesn't do anybody any good, and all it does is make you depressed.
Absolutely, I can vouch for that. If it's not something that you can alter or change
don't worry about
influence in any way,
it's not even worth engaging in it.
Then
Whereas something like this, which is well within your circle of influence, you can make the change. You can see the reward, which will be knitting through it and getting it finished, and then how good you feel. And then off you go out into the world with your lovely new hat on, and a spring in your step, and then you start bringing joy to everyone who you see.
I want to wear my hat.
Yes. See, we've motivated her. Come on then, it's time for me to show another sock.
Oh, I need the blocker again.
I mean, it's my favourite. Definitely.
These are lovely, and I love the yarn so much. I keep looking at that thinking there's something in it, but it's like a little tweedy nubby thing. What, have you done something wrong?
No, it's not the best pickup in the world.
Is it not? Did I teach you nothing?
No, don't look. Just
I can sort that out. I haven't done that yet, but I can sort that out, that loose. I can sort that out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you know how you sometimes get, well, I always get, on the...
Have you done a tutorial on sorting out that loose stitch?
No.
We should.
Well...
Use my socks.
No, it's going to go into... It's going to be part of the tutorials on my vanilla sock recipe pattern when that comes out.
Which is for sale.
It will be.
Well, you should do a tighten up a loose stitch for Patron.
Well, when I do it, when I record it for the pattern...
We'll put it out.
Put it out for the patrons as well. But do you know when you're picking up the second side of your gusset stitches, I always get a loose stitch. And the stitch, I've identified the stitch that's loose, and I think the loose stitch is the final stitch on your instep. Do you know how when you're knitting your heel flap and you've got your instep stitches on hold, it's the final stitch on that far side that ends up being loose. And I think the reason it's loose is because it doesn't have a stitch that follows it. I think it's the stitch that follows the stitch you've just worked that controls the tension on that sort of preceding stitch. And because there isn't one following that, I think that's why that stitch ends up loose. And if you look on Dan's there, can you see that loose stitch? I'm sure you can. But I've been doing a little thing recently, and it evens it all out and gets rid of that loose stitch. So, as part of that, I mentioned on the last episode, I'm going to be writing up a sort of vanilla sock pattern. And as part of that, one of the tutorials I put in there is how I tighten up that loose stitch and just make the other side look really lovely and smooth. So it's doable, you can do it, it's not a problem. I think it's kind of unavoidable getting that loose stitch, but you can fix it.
Cool. So these are the lovely Sherwood socks, which Kay designed just for me.
I did.
And
it's finished.
It is literally... It's perfect for me, and the reason why it's perfect, we obviously spoke about the Village Fate socks a moment ago, and the fact that I struggled with the 2-row repeat down the back, because I get confused because I'm a fool. Well, this has a 6-row repeat down the back, and a long repeat down, and like an 8-row repeat down the front, is it?
No, it's the same.
Oh, it's the same.
I made it the same, so it would be easier.
Thank you. I feel like an idiot.
So
now.
I didn't want the back of the sock to have a different
Well, that's very sweet.
number of rows than the front, because that can, you can be like, oh, I'm on row 4 on the back and I'm on row 6 on the front. So I made it the same.
Thank you.
I jiggled the pattern to make it the same.
Well,
but that's what it looked. I've just sort of jiggled it on the blocker so you can see that's the front of the sock. Oh, it's so pretty.
it's gorgeous. It's such fun to knit, and it just picks up on all the things. Robin Hood, I remember seeing it. The Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with 2 school friends when it came out. I remember going to see it sitting in the cinema in York, where I grew up, and we love Robin Hood, and we visited so many of the places.
Yeah.
The places where it was filmed, the Kevin Costner film, and for Kay to design this for me has just been lovely, and your response as well has been absolutely marvellous, and it's because of that, as we said now a couple of times, that next year Kay obviously every year releases a platinum collection, which is a very special collection which goes out to our gold and platinum patrons, and this will be
the March pattern.
So in March 2021 this will be going out as part of the platinum collection.
Yes.
And the platinum collection, of course, launches on Christmas Eve this year.
Yes.
So the Platinum Collection 2021 launches on Christmas Eve this year.
Yeah.
And that's the moment when everyone who's a patron gets the first one. If you're a patron on that day, you get the first pattern.
Yes.
Yes, it's very exciting.
Which is the pattern that
is going to be part of the Advent calendar.
Advent calendar.
Woohoo!
And I've actually sent out an email this week to all of the patrons just telling you what yarn you'll need for that. So you should all have had that now.
Things are starting to happen now for the Advent Calendar 2020, and it's very, very exciting.
Yes.
But Sherwood Socks.
You're nearly done.
Marvellous yarn. It is, of course, we've spoken about it so many times because we love it so much. But what's it called again, Kay?
It's the Reggio Merino Yak.
And there it is.
And this colour is 07510.
It sounds like someone's telephone number.
Just a bit, doesn't it?
What else is on your needles? That bag's nice.
Oh, it's a new bag. It's from my kind of, what's the right word?
Your bag supplier.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just can't resist her bags.
Your bag dealer.
Bag dealer, that's it. It's Emma at Eldenwood Crafts, and I just love her bag so much. And she put up a post with this lovely fabric. Oh, can you see the little foxes in the night sky and the snow and the trees? Oh, I just love it. And this size is brilliant. It's like I don't know if it's the size small, I'm not sure. I think it probably would be the size small. It's the perfect size for socks or a hat or a cowl. I love them, this little drawstring bag. And I love the simplicity. I quite like a bag that doesn't have pockets inside. I don't mind pockets, but because I find them, if I'm reaching down into the bag, I'll sometimes go into the pocket instead of into the bag. And I just like the simplicity and the cleanness of just having a bag, Does that make sense? So, yeah, not that I've got anything against pockets, but I just love the sort of simplicity of this.
I can't be honest, I don't use pockets very often in bags.
I don't either. And I think that's probably why I find them more of a hindrance.
Yeah.
They just sort of bag open inside a little bit for me. Things get caught in them.
Yeah.
They are useful if you've got stitch markers and things like that and scissors.
But I keep that
I don't generally.
in the notions pack.
I know, so do I, yeah. So.
And that moves then around different bags.
Yeah, I agree, but
maybe pockets on the outside wouldn't be a hindrance. But then the bag wouldn't look as nice.
No, it wouldn't look as nice, would it? The pockets on the outside, no. Anyway, everybody's different. Everybody's bag preferences, I'm sure, will be different. But in this lovely bag, now this project I'm loving, and really I should have finished this one by now because I'm just enjoying it so much, but I just have been working on other things. Now, was it the last episode or the one before? I'm not sure. But I finished a pair of fingerless mitts for Bryony that were inspired by BTS and the Dynamite video, and also her favourite band member who's called Taeyoung. I know all the names now. I'm totally down with the BTS crew. I know them all.
Down with the youths.
Down with the youths. And it was in stripes to match the colours from the pastel colours from the Dynamite video, and I thought to myself, do you know what, I'm just going to write up this pattern. It's only one size, I'm only going to do one size, so it'll be priced accordingly, you know, for the fact that there's only one size. But the size fits, you know, it's an average lady's hand. It fits my hand, it fits Bryony's hand, and a bit bigger and a bit smaller, it would be absolutely fine, and all that'll be in the pattern. But I just thought, you know what, I loved knitting them so much, I'm just going to knit up another pair in just one colour. And what I'll do is I'll write the pattern as if it's just one colour, but then I'll put on the final page, I'm going to put a picture of the striped ones that I did, and I'll just tell you exactly how I produced those stripes and the colours that I used. So you've got the option to either just do a one colour mitt, or you can do the stripes if you want to do that. And I wanted to use a yarn that was kind of reflective of the Dynamite video with these pastel colours, but I wanted it to just be a single colour. So I looked around and I actually purchased a skein from Eden Cottage. It's on a base that I've never used before, and it's gorgeous. It's on her Rosedale base, it's called, and that's the colour I'm using. It's a 80% superwash superfine merino, 15% nylon and 5% gold stellina.
Rosedale is gorgeous.
What is Rosedale?
It's an area of the North Yorkshire moors.
Is it really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's actually called Rosedale Abbey.
Oh, right.
And that's because years ago there was an abbey there that was actually full of nuns.
So it's not there anymore?
No. Dissolution of the monasteries flattened.
Oh, right.
And unlike, you know, so many of the lovely places which we can go visit, it just got robbed out. Right. And there's a village there, and the majority of the village has been built with stone.
With stone from the abbey.
And it's the most gorgeous. It's like this lovely place, a dale. It's like the Yorkshire Dales, but it's in the North York moors. Right. Lovely dale, picturesque, gorgeous, really lovely.
Lovely. That's nice to know. And the colourway that I'm using is called Whispering Grass. I know, yeah. And I did actually buy a mini as well, because at the time I wasn't sure whether I was going to put in a highlight of a different colour. I'm not going to, but I wound the mini up, and this one's gorgeous as well. And this colour is called Bluebell. Oh, look at that. You probably can't see the sparkle. Sparkle never transfers very well on screen, but maybe you can see a bit of it. But here's the colour I'm using, and it's just gorgeous. And one of the band members wears this sort of creamy colour in the video. I can't remember which one of them. Lilia, if you're watching, which one is it that wears...
Who's Lilia, darling?
Lilia is Ali's daughter.
Who's Ali?
Ali... Ali is Starry Eyes Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful, and her daughter is the same age as our daughter Bryony.
And she also loves BTS.
And she's also a mad BTS fan.
Yes.
So Lilia will know which one, and Bryony will as well, but she's at school, so I can't ask her. You know, the gold sparkle in it and just that colour I thought would be perfect. And I'm well on with the first mitt. I'm just working on the thumb gusset at the moment, but here it is. It's just so pretty. I just love it. And this stitch pattern, what I did was, there's a photo of Bryony's favourite member of Tay, and he had this jumper on and it had this stitch pattern on. Now, what I did was I looked at the stitch pattern, tried to work out exactly how it had been done. This was a shop-bought jumper he was wearing. Probably a designer jumper, because that's all they wear. It's always designer stuff. And I did look it up, actually, and it completely sold out. I can't remember the name of the designer, but anything that they wear basically just sells out. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to try and reverse engineer the stitch pattern. And it's based on a... sort of feather and fan or old shale, but it's a bit more complicated than that. So I sort of reverse engineered it, worked it out, and I've popped it on the front of the mitt, and I just love it. It's so pretty. So I'm on the thumb gusset here. You can see I'm working the gusset. And I've also recorded a little tutorial to pop into this, just on working the increases for the thumb gusset, because that might be something you've not done before. So I just showed you how I do those. So I'm going to just carry on and finish this pair. I have kind of drafted out the pattern already, so I just need to finish the pair and then get them photographed. Like I said, it's just one size, but I'll price it accordingly, and it'll be clear on the pattern, in, you know, the pattern front page on Ravelry and Love Knitting, that it's just one size, and it'll tell you what size that'll fit. So yeah, and it's just such a pleasant thing to knit. It's like socks. These for me, I get that same enjoyment as knitting a pair of socks, but it's way quicker. I think it's way quicker. You're not knitting as much things, are you? But there's always something to do, because you get to work this lovely bit of lace, first of all, for this sort of arm. And then you're doing the thumb gusset, which is kind of like a heel, isn't it? It's kind of got that same feeling. And then you remove those stitches, and then you finish the top, and then you have to go back and pick up those stitches and finish the thumb. So for me, it's got enough going on that it's not boring at all. It keeps you motivated and keeps you going, but it's a really quick and lovely project.
I think also as well, you mentioned that you recorded as a tutorial. I think the reason why Kate recorded the tutorial was she showed me the pattern and asked me what I would do, and what I would have done maybe would have got the right result in the end, but it would have been an extremely long and roundabout way of doing it. And actually I would say that, you know, people who've knit mittens might not fully be aware.
It all depends on how you construct your thumb gusset and whereabouts you start it. And I like it to be right on the edge of this back needle. So this is the left mitt. And then for the other one, it'll be on this side, and it's right on the edge, just to avoid having, because if you know your hand, it comes out, you know, your thumb comes out right on the edge here, doesn't it? Not sort of in a little bit, it doesn't start in a little bit. So I wanted it to come out directly out from your hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but because it's constructed like that, it means that you do a make one stitch at the very end of a row, and then on the other side it's the very beginning of a row.
And once you see how to do it, it's easy.
Yeah, and you know, some people would know exactly how to do that, but I thought, right, I'll ask Dan and see if he knows, and he wasn't quite sure. So I thought, right, okay, I'll pop in a tutorial, and then that solves the issue.
It was great. It was great. I loved seeing how simple. You know, sometimes it's obvious when you know how.
Yeah.
But until you do.
Yeah.
Because I would never have done what you showed.
Yeah.
Look.
So.
It's time for another walk in the Dales.
Oh, lovely.
And as we've said earlier on today, and as I said last episode, that was my most favourite walk. So what that made me do after, you know, going on that wonderful Colliston walk was, I thought, we've got to push the boundaries. So I planned the longest in distance and the highest in height climbed walk of the series. And when I say the longest and the highest, by quite some distance.
Yeah.
And this is what happened when we went to film it. Walking the Dales. For the last 15 years, this gorgeous landscape has been the canvas that my family's life has been painted on. And whilst so many of our adventures start in the car, our favourite way to explore this gorgeous part of the world is on foot. There is nothing quite like walking the Yorkshire Dales. From its rolling hills to its beautiful forests and picturesque villages. In this series, you're going to join us on 7 wonderful walks. Some we know well, but others are brand new to us. Along the way, we'll take in some breathtaking views, and using my famous map reading skills, we might just learn a thing or two. But where are we going today? Folks, I literally cannot believe it. We're heading out for our penultimate walk of the series. And with that in mind, I'd like to welcome you to it's my favourite town in all of the Yorkshire Dales. This is Langthwaite. Now, I've got to say, I'm a little bit apprehensive as we set out on our walk today, because this is a walk and a half. It's actually our last episode before our Christmas special in December, and we wanted to try and encapsulate everything that we love about the Yorkshire Dales in one epic walk. So we've got gorgeous rivers, some lovely towns and villages, a manor house owned by the Duke of Norfolk, the steepest climbs we've attempted all series, loads of sheepfolds, potentially some disused mine shafts. My goodness, what a walk we've got in store. Just take a look at this. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Neil, this landscape may look familiar to you because All Creatures Great and Small, the original series of All Creatures Great and Small, was filmed here, but it was also used for a Walt Disney film in the 70s, and lots of other TV shows have been here over the years, and that's because this is proper Yorkshire Dales country. Now, one of the things that I love about England is the place names. There's some amazing places with the most fascinating of names, but today I think we're going to visit somewhere which has the best naming that I've seen anywhere in my journeys across England, and that is the rather lovely and wonderfully named hamlet of Booze. Yes, we will be taking that in later on our walk. But what's so interesting about this place, about Langthwaite, is I've been here loads of times. We've gone for lots of little walks into the village, and we've been into the village pub and had a cup of tea, but I've never actually been for a proper explore. So to say I'm excited is an absolute understatement. So without further ado, I think it's time that I got my hat on and we set out for another walk in the Dales. Lovely chickens.
So I mentioned All Creatures Great and Small was filmed here. Well, get ready for one of the most iconic images used in the intro to every one of those great TV episodes. It's coming up right here. And over the bridge we find what lies at the heart of so many Dales communities, the village pub. We're actually back in Arkengarthdale. It's our favourite of all the Dales, and so we're delighted to return for one final walk this series. Now, today's walk is going to have quite a few settlements on it, and the first of which was Langthwaite. But it's actually passed in just a moment as we pick up the path along what is today a bubbling and broiling Arkle Beck. We're actually coming up now on the second settlement of today's walk, and I think there's a little footbridge. I'm hoping it's actually in place because this river is really big. But yeah, hopefully there's a little footbridge that we can have a little rest and check out the next settlement on today's trail. So in the 9th century, the whole of Arkengarthdale would have been a hotbed of Viking activity. And if you want an idea on what life might have been like, I'm told that the series Vikings, which I think is on the History Channel, offers a superb depiction of Viking life at pretty much the time that all these settlements were founded here in Arkengarthdale. What we're seeing today, though, and what we're going to see lots more of now as we start to climb up Slay Gill, are remnants of the lead mining industry, which we've already learnt so much about in this series already. You can see I'm starting the climb. The cowl is off, as are my lovely gloves. And this is just the beginning. I think once I get in the swing of it, we'll be okay, but we're effectively climbing a mountain today because we're going to be going over 1,000 foot, which I think, I recall, anything over 1,000 foot is a mountain. But onward and upward, folks, literally today. Now then, as many of you may remember, way back in episode 1 of Walking the Dales, which we actually did just over the other side of this dale, I mentioned that the way I navigate my way through this amazing countryside is using the Ordnance Survey maps. And they're just tremendous because they clearly mark public rights of way, and they even have fences in, so you know we're going to have to cross a stile. But what they also do is, along the way, they mark interesting points, so you know what to look out for. And we're coming up on one of those interesting points right now, and it's something that I've wanted to see for years. Hello, sheep. What a place Storthwaite Hall must have been when it was built back in the time of Henry VIII. It feels remote today, so back then it must have been in a whole world of its own. But we're going to leave civilization behind us now as we start to make our way up what's called the Slay Gill. We're going to be walking through lots of remnants of that lead mining industry, from disused shafts and spoil heaps, and we might even see some wheelhouses along the way, but I think there might be a path closure up here, so we might have to take a bit of a diversion, but we'll see how we get on. Either way, this is proper Dales wilderness. It's marvellous. If you'd been around here in the 18th century, this would have been an absolute hive of activity. There would have been miners coming and going from their homes in Arkletown and Langthwaite. They would have been coming up here, up Slay Gill, to undertake another shift down one of the lead mines. It's a little bit different today, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, we have climbed to the top of Slay Gill. You can actually see behind me Slay Gill House, which was it was a boarding house basically for miners. So if they were up here doing some particularly long shifts and they needed a place to bed down, that was the place where they used to do it. We can't actually get to it today because some of the pathways are shut and there's been quite a lot of flood damage. So that is as close, unfortunately, as we can get. But what an outstanding place this is. I mean, the views are just breathtaking and literally from every direction. Sadly, it's a little bit too windy for Kevin to fly. I mean, it's more than a little bit windy, it's absolutely blowing a gale, but just take a look at these views. What a walk this has been already, goodness me. And there's still so much to come. Booze, anyone? I could do with some booze. So whilst I try and find booze on this blustery Daleside trail, you head off for a little breather. And I'll see you later on in the show for even more Walking the Dales.
What a walk. What about those chickens? Did you see them at the very start?
How mad is that? Just pull up to the car park. Oh, some chickens in the car park.
The funny thing is, right, when I pulled up, they sort of went there, I could hear them, and then they just sort of appeared.
Where are they? They must have escaped from somewhere.
No, I just think they are proper free-range chickens. There was like a recycling bit just off to the side of that car park.
Right.
Because Langthwaite is a sort of, even though it's very small, it's a major sort of area, major point within the Dale. And I think that people come there, you know, to do their recycling. Not in a scruffy way, it's lovely, it's lovely. But behind that, there was clearly what looked like a sort of, it looked like an allotment-y type of farmy type place. Totally open. You know, no.
Strange.
And I think because up there, I think everyone just knows each other.
Yeah.
And also as well, there is a sort of, you know, we've had a lot of questions over the course of the series about different things, and we've tried to answer them in the show, and I've also tried to answer them personally. But, you know, these are pathways that have been there for generations.
Yeah.
And when people buy land which these pathways cross, they know what they're letting themselves in for. And it's not even a question.
It's public rights of way.
Yeah, people are cool with it. There's no issue.
It's just...
So I use the ordnance survey
always
map,
been that way.
and away you go. But also as well, I think when you get out into the countryside, there is a understanding and respect for, because I don't see litter, I don't see anything. And there was a lot of walkers around, actually, when I was out, which was lovely to see, because some of the walks, what we've tried to do with this series is to pick walks which even people who know the Dales perhaps wouldn't know. And I saw quite a lot of walkers, which was great.
Yeah, and
all very hardy-looking fellas.
Yeah, and people who walk a lot are really respectful, I always find, of their environment. Like Dan said, I've never seen any litter.
No.
Not that I can recall at all. And gates are always shut when we come to them, and you should always shut gates. And people just know this.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an...
And I suspect that's the reason why these chickens were living in the way that they were living. Like, totally free range. It'd be someone probably...
They were really friendly. If I'd have known, I'd have given you some, like, bird food or something. I've got some bird food in the kitchen. I'd have given you some.
I know.
Could have fed the chickens.
Neil... we've obviously got a lot more to come, and I've not even got to the highest points yet, but I'll be honest with you, partway through that first part that you just saw, I nearly called it off for the day. And the mobile, because up there mobiles don't work, and so I had to, for the first time in 15 years, use a phone box. Because I couldn't get a weather report either, because it was doing not what it said it was going to do.
Yeah.
So I thought, if it's going to do this all day, this is crazy, because it really was hammering it down. So I phoned you, and you checked the weather for me, and it said it wasn't going to do that. So carried on filming, and I'm really glad that we did. The weather did come and go. But what I said to you when I spoke to you on the phone was, whilst it was hard going from a sort of walking point of view, the footage... my goodness.
Oh, lovely. And what I loved about it was, I think because of the rain as well.
It gives it an atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives it an atmosphere, but also, the drone shots up above when you're looking down on the trees, the colours were just lovely. We've got all of that autumn colour coming through, and I think because everything was wet, it just kind of enhances the colours, I think.
One thing I haven't told you about, it's going to be with me for a long time, this.
The sliding down the hill thing.
Oh, well, I've not even told you about that either.
He got back and he was absolutely filthy. And I said, oh, gosh, did you fall down?
No.
He's like, no, I didn't fall down.
I chose to slide down. And I'm not saying that, I'm not being funny. It's not like, that's his excuse for actually falling. In the second part, we're going to get really wild. And I just couldn't find the path. And I knew that the path I was following was going to lead me probably on another 2 or 3 mile trek, and I just couldn't do it. And also as well, I knew I was going to lose the light. So I knew I had to get from the top of this bank down to the bottom, because I could see the path down there. So I just slid down it, just got down, put my hands down, slid down it. But look out for, there's a couple of walk pasts in part 2. You might notice that my behind areas are rather muddy.
It was filthy.
Shall we say?
I can't believe it.
But the other thing that happened was, as so many of you may have gathered, Kevin, the drone, I had this connection with Kevin, and I care very deeply for him. And I'm just blown away by how he worked that day, because the wind was shocking, the rain was hard, and he just kept on going.
You almost lost him, didn't you?
You can have a thing with drone flying called a flyaway, and what I've done is, as I tend to do with all things like this, is I've really researched things hard, so I knew what to do when you get a flyaway. So it wasn't a panic. It was just a panic for a second when I realised what was happening. Basically, the wind catches the drone and you can't control it. Apart from one thing, you can only do one thing. You can fly with the wind and you can land. And so what I had to do was I had to fly with the wind, find a flat landing space without any water on it, preferably no sheep, and land it. And that's exactly what I did. And then, brilliantly for Kevin, he then puts out a little beacon, and you just follow maps on your phone and you get taken straight to him. And there he was, waiting for me, perfectly fine. What he needed, though, when I brought him home, was he needed a bit of a wipe down, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was a bit muddy. But, folks, there is so much to come in part 2. It gets seriously wild, and some of the views are they're the best of the series. So, whilst Coliston was my favourite walk, from a filming point of view and from a finished sort of show point of view, like you said, I was so thrilled when you came in after you watched it back and said that it's your favourite. On the day, that what I was seeing here felt so much nicer than what I was seeing in real life. Because it was so wet and windy and horrible.
I know, and I could tell it what you could.
And muddy.
It was, and I knew how challenging the weather was, but yeah, it just turned out so lovely. I loved it.
Well, that's to come later on, because now it's time to see something rather epic, because you've finished the most amazing project as we find out, Kay Jones, what's off your needles?
I finished some socks.
Woohoo!
This is the pair of socks that are a gift.
For that very special family member who requested them.
Very special member of our family, yes. She's away at university and she asked for a pair of socks to wear in her boots, and I said I would love to do that. And I knit this pair of lovely socks. Gosh, the colour looks bizarre today.
It looks nice though.
It's very dark outside and quite sort of...
autumny.
Very autumny. So
no, it's not that cold.
That colour looks weird. It's more of, I showed it you last time, if you remember it from last time. It's like a sort of autumnal golden brown.
Texture like sun.
Texture like sun. There is two. Ta-da! 2 socks. Fit perfectly on these blockers. And I just hope, I think the size will be good. You know, I've measured from here to here, and it's kind of a little bit short of her foot length, but it obviously stretches to fit, which is how socks should be, really. So I'm hoping it'll be good. And I knit this really long cuff.
Yeah.
So that I'll show you on the other one. So that if she wants to cuff them, then she can do that. How cute is that? Imagine them just peeking out like that above some boots. Really cute. I am writing the pattern up. That's the other thing I wanted to say. I'm writing the pattern up.
Because your response has been crazy for these.
Yeah,
you know
that. I love the twisty, cabley thing. And the reason I put this in is because she loves... I was going to say Rapunzel, not Rapunzel, because that's what it reminds me of. She loves Elsa from Frozen. She loves Frozen altogether. She's mad on Frozen. So I thought I'll put in something that has just a little hint of that, and it's like the plait that Elsa... Is it Elsa? Anyway, you know the one. And then I did this broken rib around the rest, because that just reminded me of kind of castle walls.
Yeah.
And does one of them get stuck in the castle? And I forget the story. I don't know. But it reminded me of the castle in the film anyway. And I think
she shuts herself away so she doesn't hurt anybody.
Oh, that's right, isn't it? That's right, yeah. And it's not Elsa, is it Anna that... clearly, I don't know.
We don't need to break down the storyline.
No, okay. But I've not actually got a name for these yet. I'm still pondering. I'm in that pondering stage of what I'm going to call them, and I'm just about to start writing up the pattern as well. But now I've finished them, I can photograph them and just get on with writing up a pattern. But I just love how they turned out, and I had enough yarn.
Amazing.
I've got this left.
It's gorgeous, the yarn, actually. I mean, it's such a lovely colour.
It's lovely. I'm thrilled to have a little bit left to put into a scrappy project. I reckon
what was the base again for that?
It's just an 80-20.
Right.
So it's 80% superwash merino, 20 nylon. And this base, the skeins are a bit shorter than normal. It's 365 metres. Because it's quite a plump yarn, so you get less yardage in this base than in, standard 75-25. So that was another reason I was kind of sweating a bit, thinking I was going to run out. But I've definitely got maybe 8 grams-ish or something left there, so plenty to pop into a little scrappy project, which is lovely. I'll have a little reminder of the socks, which is nice. And I've also ordered her just a little bottle of Eucalan, which should come today, hopefully, that I can send with them, and I'll write instructions on just how to take care of them. They can go in the washer, obviously, but it's better, I think, if you hand wash socks. Yeah. They last longer, and the colours will stay there.
Yeah.
It's more colour fast if you wash them by hand. But I have washed these, and there was no colour in the water at all, so I will let you know how that goes, with regards to the pattern. And as soon as I've got the pattern ready again, I'll ask a couple of people if they wouldn't mind doing me a test knit, and we'll get on with that. But I really love them. And the little cabley thing, it's not actual cables, it's kind of crossed stitches. Just so they're so cosy looking, aren't they?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted, you know, because this time of year and how she's going to be wearing them, they're just lovely.
Perfect.
So they're all done.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
And I didn't, when I washed these, I've only got one blocker anyway, but I didn't put them on the blockers. I just laid them flat to dry because I didn't want to stretch out the rib. I wanted it to be really sucky in so that it's nice and grippy.
Nice and sucky.
Nice and sucky.
Cool.
Yes.
Because we want to get back out to finish off our amazing walk. So without further ado, let's head to the heights of Arkengarthdale as we return for the final part of Walking the Dales.
Welcome back to Walking the Dales, and I'm delighted to tell you that we're well on our way to Booze. But as I walk along this gorgeous Arkengarthdale track, I can't help but look up, because there over on the horizon is a ridge which dominates the whole of Arkengarthdale. And so we make it to the final settlement on today's walk. In the most unlikely of places lies the Dales hamlet of Booze. And would you believe this fairly insignificant of places has had its fair share of national media? It all started about 10 years ago when the post office, the people who deliver the post in this country, decided that the road up to Booze was just too precipitous. So they said they weren't going to come up anymore. So everyone who lived up here wasn't going to get any post. There was an absolute national uproar. It was on TVAM, which is TVAM, I'm harking back now, that's our morning television news. I think it was on Good Morning Britain. It was all over the place and the papers picked up on it, and of course then the post office backtracked and said that they would. But then it was followed up by a council tax sort of disaster, in that the council decided every year, the council tax is what we pay in the UK for people to come and collect our bins and for amenities and all those different things that the council upkeep. Well, the council decided here that they were going to increase it. Now, that's fairly normal. That does happen most years for everyone. But they don't normally look to increase it by 400%. So there was another national outcry. It was in the papers again, and once again the council backtracked. A lot of national media for such a small place. There's disused mine shafts all over the place here. Don't worry, I'm completely safe. It's a Yorkshire Dales National Path, so you know they'll all be filled in and secure. So this could well have been a wheelhouse. I don't know. But our final destination is across here. And look, there's Langthwaite where we started. So we are making it just across Langthwaite Scar. Now Langthwaite Scar actually gives its name to our final destination today. We're heading to the home of the man who owned all the mines, pretty much all the mines in Arkengarthdale. We've obviously looked an awful lot, really throughout the series, at the mines and also the people who worked in the mines. But what about the guy who was their boss? Well, he built a house and he called it Scar House, and he built it just a short walk through a lovely wood, I'm told, at the end of Langthwaite Scar. Let's go see if we can find it. This feels extremely grand. It's such a difference to Langthwaite Scar and the landscape which we've already walked through so far on this amazing trail. The reason why it feels so different is 900 years ago, this was a royal forest. The animals that were hunted here, and I've seen a deer already, the animals that were hunted here would have appeared on the tables of the finest in the land, and it was here that the man who owned all of the mines in Arkengarthdale decided to build his home. His name was Gilpin Brown, and the house he built was called Scar House, after Langthwaite Scar that we've just walked across. And it's just up here. I think what I've loved the most about this walk is the contrasts. It really is a gorgeous place. It has a very special feel to it. And it's a wonderful way to finish this penultimate of all our walks this series. Yes, I will be back, but it won't be until Christmas. We've got to have a Christmas walk, haven't we? And it's going to be a very special Christmas walk because it's one with a lot of deep family connections for me. But for now, thank you so much for joining me on this just most epic of walks, and I'll see you soon for more Walking the Dales.
What a wonderful way to finish. We said at the start, didn't we, that we were setting out to try and encapsulate everything that we love about the Yorkshire Dales in one walk, and we definitely did that.
How amazing is that house?
I was just about to say.
The Duke of Norfolk's house. It's not bad, is it, as a little country getaway? And did you hear all his dogs barking in the background?
His main residence is Arundel Castle, and I've seen that once, and it is the most amazing looking castle.
Way down south, isn't it?
It is. It's like really far south. And it's just the most stunning place. I remember I phoned you up, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
I was stood there. I'd just been in a shop, and I came out, and there it was in front of me. And what was so funny was I parked my car, and it was behind me. Never noticed it because it was up on a hill, and then there it was. My goodness. So for him to have a little slice of Yorkshire is sort of quite cool.
Gorgeous. The location is just beautiful, isn't it?
It really, and do you know, I stand by exactly what I said, in that as soon as you got into that forest, it felt different. It felt like what it was. You know, it was a royal forest.
So much history, so many things must have
everywhere
happened.
You go, really.
Yeah, I know. I love that.
But it is. It is lovely. But I think the thing that I've learned the most this year, and it's something that I'll carry forward, that will carry forward into everything that we do in future, is that sort of, when you give things space, filming too, you know, you give things space to breathe a little bit. You can take in more the views and the experience of actually physically being there. It's not a walk I would rush to do again, but it's one that I'll never forget.
Yeah. That's often the case with walks, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's, you know, if you walk a lot, there's probably just a handful of walks that you really would do again and again.
I tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to very much do. I'd like to carry on along the river and walk up to the cairn. That was up at the top.
Yeah.
There's a walk right up there.
You can see that, can't you, on that long shot of, what was it called?
Sleigh Gill.
Sleigh Gill. Yeah. If you look at the top of the hill, you can see there's an ancient cairn.
It's the Fremington Edge hold shot.
Right.
Where we're looking up the side.
Yes.
Yeah. It's there. There's like a little, it looks like a little column up on the top. And there's a walk that goes right up there, and I could see certain people coming down off there.
So it's like an ancient burial place, isn't it?
That will be linked to the cairn that we saw in episode 1, which is just over the hill.
On the other side.
So they will have been linked. They'll have both been used at the same time. Now, it's time to say goodbye to Walking the Dales for 3 episodes. And we know what's coming.
Not forever.
No, not forever.
That sounded a bit worrying.
We're just saying goodbye to Walking the Dales for 3 episodes, when I'll be back with the Christmas special. But what's going to happen between then and now? Well, we know about Kay's Handmade Christmas. Yeah. But what you don't know about is this. It's 10 questions, and every single one of them is about knitting.
I've not even heard of that one.
These are all genuinely real sheep, but we have 3 lifelines.
I've got a feeling the Black Welsh Mountain looks a bit more horny.
The winner gets to choose anything that the loser has to knit for them. She will!
Oh, you're joking.
He's back, baby!
Yay.
Last year, Kay wrestled the crown from me. And now it's time for a return back. It's time for us to find out who is the champion of 2020.
Will I get to keep my beautiful hand-knitted crown?
Will she get to wear her crown?
Bejewelled.
Will she get to wear her bejewelled crown whilst she's filming Kay's Handmade Christmas? All will be revealed over the next 2 episodes, because unlike any round of Knit or Forfeit that we've ever done before, this time there's only 1 round each. So talk about tension.
Yeah, just one go at it.
1 go, 10 questions, and whoever scores the most gets the crown, is the winner. And that all starts next time. We know how much you guys love Knit or Forfeit.
I do kind of want to see you in that crown, so...
No. Kay's the most competitive person in the history of the world. Yes, you are. And that's cool.
I'm not competitive.
You are competitive, and I'm cool with that.
What am I competitive about?
Everything. But that's cool.
That's not true.
I suspect that's one of the reasons.
Not aware that I am.
But that's fine. That's fine. It's not a problem. I'm competitive. But that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Everybody's different, and that's absolutely fine. But Kay's very competitive. She likes to win. And I like that, because then when we play games, you really try. So when you win...
Well, there's no point playing if you're not going to try.
There you go. And I think that's the difference between competitive and not competitive. But, that then comes back to the way we sort of approach things with Bryony. Because I never let her win growing up.
No, you don't.
She
doesn't want you to, does she? She gets mad.
Angry.
She gets mad with you if she thinks that you're letting her win.
Yeah. We've done things over the years, and I've always gone full belt. But it does make me think of, there was a TV show in this country called The Fast Show years ago, and one of their jokes within that was competitive dad.
Oh yeah.
Who would be playing cricket with his with his sons, and he'd never get out, and it wasn't as bad as that. Look, it really wasn't. But if we're going to do something, we're going to do it properly, and that way then she knows when she does win. And now all she ever
genuine win.
All she ever does now is win.
That's true, she does.
We've trained her well.
Except when it's Scrabble, and I always win.
She does do well in Scrabble.
She does do pretty well in Scrabble.
No, I meant you.
Who's she?
Sorry.
I'm sat right here.
Kay does do very well with Scrabble.
Always win at Scrabble.
I do. Well, not always. Bryony does sometimes
win.
She
does sometimes.
And on very rare occasions, I win.
Very rare occasions, Dan wins.
I always take one for the team. I always look at the board.
Oh, now you're going to say,
and I think,
it.
If I put a word in there, that'll open up that side of the board.
Oh, listen to him now. Listen to him. That's not true at all.
Do you remember that holiday where we were playing Yahtzee, and in one round of Yahtzee, I think I got 4 Yahtzees.
Oh, it just wasn't acceptable.
So I think my score was 600 and something, and yours was 150.
I still can't remember how to play Yahtzee. I can never remember, and then we start playing it, and I'm like, oh yeah, and then I forget.
So, folks, 2 rounds of Knit or Forfeit as our build-up to the festive season. Then we're in to Kay's Handmade Christmas, and then it's time for a Walk in the Dales Christmas special.
How lovely. That sounds all marvellous.
It is, and as the year begins to end, we'll say nothing more because there's enough to look forward to with Christmas. But this year, we're not messing around when we hit 2021. In previous years, there has been reasons why we couldn't be as adventurous and as inventive with our filming in winter. But this year is different. So prepare yourselves. What?
Do I look blank? I've no idea.
You do. We spoke about it yesterday. Oh.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. We're going to hit 2021 extremely hard. But all will be revealed as the year comes to an end, because we want to really savour this Christmas period.
Yes, and I've got something really exciting coming in December as well. Apart from, this is an extra thing to the Advent calendar.
Totally separate.
I've got some special things.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
I will tell more about it as we get into November.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's time for the Endy Bits.
Endy Bits.
You've got something to show.
I've just got one thing that I wanted to show you. When I bought the yarn from Eden Cottage, I was looking for the sort of right colour, and I spotted this one of theirs, and this is a yarn that's kind of more of a commercial type yarn. I think rather than it being dyed there, it goes off and gets dyed. I think that's right, but I could be wrong. And it's the Milburn 4-ply. and it comes in 50-gram balls, and it's an 85% Blueface Leicester and 15% silk blend. So I thought, I'm going to try one of those. And this colour, I actually was going to use this colour for the mitts. This is the colour I got. Oh, it's gorgeous, sort of toffee colour.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So it's the Milburn 4-ply. But I asked Bryony which one she'd prefer, and she preferred the other one, so I'm using that. But this shade's called Autumn Fields, and it's really gorgeous. This comes in like lots of different solid colours, and it feels really soft and lovely, and I think I might make a hat with it. Listen to me again talking about plain hats.
For goodness sake, put a pattern into it.
I'm going to have to put a pattern into it. Because it's yardage-wise, I've got enough for a hat. It's 218 yards, so there's plenty there for a little hat, isn't there? I only got one ball because I only intended using them for those mitts, and I know I've weighed that first pair that I made, and it's only 40 grams, which is brilliant, I think, isn't it, as well? If you've only got 50 grams of leftovers from a fingering weight skein, you've got enough for a pair of those mitts. So yeah, I think I will do a hat in this, but I think it would suit sort of something really textured or cabled or something. It's gorgeous. So, if you're looking for sort of solid colours of fingering weight yarns for, I don't know, like these big shawl thing projects that people do, like the Stephen West thing, that's going around at the moment, isn't it? I think this would be a great choice, or garments, because it feels gorgeous. I mean, I'll let you know when I start knitting it, but it's lovely. Really like it.
Cool. You should do a
review of it. I should, because I've never used it before. Yeah.
Folks, that's it. Now look, we have our latest patron-only show coming up on Sunday. But Greenwich Mean Time. So the clocks have changed. So our clocks are going back, but it will.
They will change on Sunday.
Yes,
they haven't changed.
Yes. So for us, essentially, it's an hour earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, but you just need to look at your local listings.
Yes, look.
We've put a post in the Bakery Bears patrons Facebook group, and that actually has the time zone on it, so that should be the easiest way for you to see. But we've also put full details on our Patreon page on the post that I've linked below in the show notes, which tells you exactly when the show is. As usual, the green room for the show will open half an hour before the show starts, so you get ample warning that we're about to go live. But if you can't join us live, it's really not a problem, because the show is there for you to watch any time, because at 3:10 the recording becomes available. So post 1:30, show starts 2:00, recording though, if you can't watch it live, 3:10 on Sunday the 25th of October.
Lovely.
And between now and when we see you next time, there's lots going on as usual. There's my first reviews are being published, which are an absolute car crash. You don't want to miss those.
True.
They're absolutely hilarious.
It's not true.
Kay's on the camera and I'm doing the reviewing. Don't miss that. But also, the Self-Contained Knitter is back next Thursday, where I'll be delving into how I've been getting on with my Ridari, and lots going on, just like normal. But thank you all so much for watching.
Thanks, everyone. I hope you're all well.
I hope we've lifted your spirits a little bit, and that you're feeling good and ready to head out into the world and spread the love. Sounds like 1960, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? You're going to be spreading love this afternoon. I'm going to get out of the way.
Oh, that sounds wrong. Folks, thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks for more.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Enthusiasm's not quitting for Dan and Kay the Bakery Bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the Bakery Bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the Bakery Bears. What's on your shelf or what's in